Alright, working on an 05 F-150 with the 543 valve. And got this truck pretty cheap. Just because the dude said or someone told the guy, previous owner, that the motor was screwed. Said it was the phasers. Or at least that's what he told me. I thought, well, phasers ain't a big deal, right? And normally when a 3 valve ticks, it's the phasers or it's the manifolds that are screwed up. Not in this case. That there is the 4 and 8 cylinder journal. That's what came out of it. Completely disintegrated the bearings. And a real aggressive knock. And it would stay constant as far as noise goes. Is the same amount of loudness, I guess. How you say that? And it would increase with RPM the amount of knock, how fast it would knock. So it ain't always the phasers that are knocking, or the manifolds. So I get the joy of ripping this motor out and either getting a new one or rebuilding it. We'll see what the aftermarket world has. Yeah, we can just see how. Where's my flashlight? Yeah, I mean, you can just see how tore up it is. And it ate into the side there pretty hard. I mean, just kind of look at how thick the other side is. If I get the light right, and you can see how thick the one side is, how thin the other side is. Plus a whole bunch of shrapnel on the pan. All kinds of goodies in there. So yeah, if you got one knocking, real aggressive knocking, if you put a screwdriver, or a piece of wood or something, or the vibration trick with the long shaft of a piece of metal or a piece of wood, you'll hear it just thumping, knocking away. That's what it is. So before you waste the money on putting a cam phaser and timing chain in it, make sure it's not something else before you waste the money and time doing it like I did. Alright, got her motor pulled, and it was a pain in the ass. Ended up having to remove the front harmonic balancer, water pump, stuff like that to get it to clear, radiator support, and the back little, whatever you want to fucking call that, part of the cab. And after all that, I had maybe an inch of clearance, so it's tight. Did get it all broke down, and did get the motor cleaned. Everything looks pretty good. The bores look really good. Still had the original cross hatching in it. Just for shits and giggles, I did run a hone through it just to knock any high spots off, and just to make the cross hatchings a little freshen them up. And so that's the one that had the bad bearing, that one. Probably could save it, but you can buy a brand new connecting rod for like 30 bucks. And a Ford specified OME one, whoever makes them. So yeah, I got 2 new ones coming just because, you know, I mean, for $30 it ain't worth my time to screw with it. Then it did go ahead and just order a brand new crank. That journal right there is pretty well smoked, plus it ate into the sides, so the clearances won't be right. And all the bearings except for the back one were okay. There was a few of them that they're like stuck. They like rolled material over the parting line and got stuck on there. I just didn't screw with taking it off. So a new one of these was like 200 bucks. So like I said, that ain't worth my time to mess with. And of course, got the heads off. Waiting on a special valve compressing tool or spring compressing tool to be able to get the damn springs and keepers off so I can get the valves out. The ones I got just do not have the clearance to get around there, and then the ones that set on top and go on the bottom of the valve underneath the head is just too big. It hits, so I'm gonna wait on that. But I did go ahead and deck this one with the fly cutter. Turned out pretty good. It was about 10 thousandths out before it cleaned up, and then I just went ahead and took another 10 just to have one consistent cut across of it. You know, equal cutting force, all that crap. Turned out pretty good. Finishes acceptable. See a little bit of reflection there. Overall, I mean, the heads weren't really that bad. 10 thousandths ain't much, and across this way they were fine. It was on the edges here, but they were low, so it crowned in the center, which is kind of odd. Normally they crown long ways, they'll get a droop in them, and these heads were a pain in the ass to set up, because the little specially designed adjustable angle plate for these, they bolt into, you know, either the exhaust side, or you can sometimes bolt them on the intake side. But because of all the stuff sticking out on them, you can see just how unflat they are. All the little knobs hanging out, and because of how low that bolt hole is to the deck, it set the head below the fixture, so it wasn't going to work. So I ended up just setting 1, 2, 3 blocks in a couple spots here, of course upside down, and then my mill table being narrow, the size that it is, it's too narrow. I was only able to put clamps in the center on these freeze plugs. So the setup was kind of iffy, but it worked out pretty good actually. So unfortunately, the only real reason I decked these heads was because I was bored. Because I'm waiting on parts. Always waiting on fucking parts. And ended up getting ended up going ahead and ordering the lifter deals. They got a special name, but it's a lifter because there's a bunch of bearing material down in them. So I don't know how much of that got into the actual valve, because they are a hydraulic style valve. And then went ahead and ordered the little rocker arms, and they got a special name too. I don't remember, but Trick Flow made some, so I like Trick Flow, so I went ahead and bought them. That's probably the most expensive thing. It was more than the new crank and the connecting rods and bearings and all the other shit on the bottom end. We'll go ahead and get this one set up on the mill and get him decked. And then play the waiting game until parts show up and tools to finish breaking the head down. There we are. Almost got a rainbow out of it. Yeah, a little bit. Feels good though. Can't catch my finger on it. Alright, got the heads all done. Putting the valve stems and springs and everything back in. Had to get creative because that tool I bought to take these valve springs out with, or get the keepers out, I broke it. The one that uses the camshaft as like a leverage point. So that thing was kind of a piece of shit. Plus I didn't like it because you can't take the valve stems all the way out because it's not long enough. So it just wasn't designed to do it. But so I made a, I don't know what you want to call that, little tool here that pushes the spring down. And I do gotta use a little clamp here just to keep it from ripping the threads out of that cam stanchion there. You can buy these things. I just didn't want to wait on it, so I just made one real quick. Kind of a tricky little guy to get in there. Oh, you stay on there. There we go. Overall, these heads are kind of a real pain in the ass to deal with with everything being recessed down like that. There we are. A little cumbersome, but works pretty good. A lot better than that other one I bought. So if you're doing this, I'd definitely buy the one that uses something like this, and there's like a little aluminum block thing that sets on these, and then it lines it up just right with a little, like a little crap, one brain dead. But just push it down on that, and then that makes it fairly easy to get in there and get it. Takes a little time, but not bad. I got bored and I went ahead and gasket matched the intake, then knifed edge the little divider there where it goes, splits it between the two valves. I don't know how much good that'll do. Being the way the intake's designed and stuff, I probably did more damage than I did good, but oh well, we'll find out when we get it running again.